Welcome. My name is Mike. This is my YouTube channel. I've had it for about 10 years. I have not updated it in a long time, but I am back now. I've got some new equipment, and we're going to start making some videos here. I thought my first video would be of my trip to Istanbul. I just got back. It was kind of unexpected. I was there for 2 days. Had nothing to do. Decided to jump in a taxi, and I told the taxi driver to take me downtown, take me to the Hagia Sofia, one of the 7 wonders of the world. What I saw there was amazing. I've not been able to get it out of my mind since I left. I wanted to share with you some of the things that I saw. This is not going to be a travel video. There are lots of other much better videos that people have made with much better equipment than I have. 4K, HD, drones, the whole 9 yards. Check those out. Just type in Hagia Sophia into your search box and you'll see tons of videos. What I'm going to show you some really interesting things that I saw inside now it's a museum. It started off as a church 1,500 years ago. It was built by Constantine. It was conquered by the Muslims. They conquered the city of Constantinople. They renamed it to Istanbul, and they turned the Hagia Sophia into a mosque where they worshipped Allah for close to, I think it's 900 or something years. Ataturk recently in the 20th century converts it to a museum. And now anybody can just stand in line, buy a ticket, and go walk inside and see all the history, which is exactly what I did. I got in line. I met a guy who was pushing tours, and I asked him how much. We agreed on a price, and it was about $12 US, and he took me through the whole museum and showed me everything. We went straight to the altar, and what he shows me and what he says blows me away, and it starts me down this chain of events. I'm not the best video editor, so I do know how to use the Google Hangouts, and I know how to screen share. So that's how we're going to do this. I'll start with my screen share, and I'm going to take you through my tour. This is a video I uploaded 2 days ago, just a raw video. I'm going to play the whole thing here and let you listen. I'll let the tour guide basically explain what we're looking at.
This is where the altar of the church used to be. Now there is an Islamic altar. Do you see this yellow structure? Look like a door. That's where the imam was praying. It's always showing the direction of Mecca. But this building originally was a Christian church. It's facing Jerusalem.
Jerusalem's a little bit off.
Look at this, the blue window, the purple stained glass, that's Jerusalem, that's Mecca. How lucky we are from Istanbul. It's only 9 degrees.
Yeah.
Those writings are from the Quran, in the Holy Book of Islam. The first lane is about Virgin Mary. She's a very holy woman for us. Virgin Mary is the most holy woman for us. When I say this to the tourists, some of them are asking me like, oh, is she in the Quran? Of course she's in the Quran. She is in the Quran 3 times more than in the Bible. And that's about her miracle. One of her miracles is written about that. Second lane, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. Only one God is Allah Muhammad. Bismillah is this one, sir. Bismillah. Like Allah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Do you know this word from a song? Bismillah.
Queen.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And the pulpit is where the imam was going up and he was giving lectures.
Amazing, isn't it?
Incredible.
The minibar. That's how you can remember. Anyway, I thought it was amazing. I was first amazed when he starts basically praising Mary. And I've heard that Muslims held Mary in a very high regard. And I knew that, but I'd never seen it or witnessed it firsthand. And here he is explaining to me that not only was this a Muslim mosque, but the scripts on here written in Arabic are prayers to not Allah. These are prayers to Mary. And I thought that was fascinating because I grew up as a Roman Catholic. When I was a little kid, my mom and my grandma baptized me as a Catholic. I went to Catholic catechism, was confirmed, the whole 9 yards. The priests wanted to make me an altar boy, and I really didn't think that was going to be my shtick. So I declined politely. And here I am many, many, many years later. But I was very used to seeing the worship of Mary presented to us versus the worship of God. And it was always something I thought to be a little peculiar. And when I heard that Muslims do the same thing, I thought, okay, but whoever walks in a mosque, I never walked in a mosque before. This is the first time I've walked into a mosque, and only because it's a museum. I'm not allowed in mosques. I am not a Muslim. I don't think, I think I can go in some of the other ones that are open to the public once in a while, maybe not on Fridays and things like that, the blue mosques and stuff like that. But anyway, pretty much just blown away at that. And then the other thing, of course, that was pretty cool was as he explains the prayer to Mary, he says Bismillah, which is one of the words in there. And I said, oh, is that the Bismillah prayer? And he goes, no, that's the Bismillah over here on the wall. And then he says, are you familiar with the word Bismillah from a song? And I said, yeah, Queen. And he says, exactly. Freddie Mercury claims that he did not know. He was just making up words as he wrote the Bohemian Rhapsody. And that's fine. He can say that. He's not around to defend himself any longer. He can say that he just was making words up. But the word Bismillah is a very specific word that means something to billions of people. I think there's 1.8 billion Muslims. It'd be like if I was in another part of the world and I saw the word Waianae written somewhere, I would know that Waianae is a city in Hawaii, and it would be undeniable. I wouldn't think that somebody wrote Waianae by accident. It's a very unique, specific word. Bismillah is a Muslim prayer, and Islam has been around for 1,500 years. So Freddie Mercury can claim he doesn't know where the word came from, but he's either lying or he got the inspiration from somewhere else. This is my dog. She's going to make noise. Shh, no noise. So the tour continues. He walks me through, and at this point I'm thinking, wow, there's something about Mary, right? Okay, it's a movie quote, I know, but we're walking, and I'm thinking, okay, not a big deal. So we continue the tour, and we get over here to these columns on the, I think it's closer to the right side as you walk in. The whole entire right side of the Hagia Sofia are these large marble columns. Well, I'll let my tour guide continue and explain to you what we're looking at. Here we go.
These are the columns from Ephesus. Dates back 7th century before Christ.
Ephesus columns.
One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis. That temple was destroyed by the Byzantines to use these columns in this building.
They worshipped
32
Diana.
of them shipped here by the Aegean Sea, and they're all like one piece of marble, 12 tons heavy, each one. Dates back 7th century BC, 1,000 years older than the building.
That's amazing.
So he's pretty excited about those columns, and I got excited too, right about over here, where he tells me that these are from Ephesus, from the temple at Ephesus, the temple of Artemis. I know exactly what he's talking about. Why do I know exactly what he's talking about? I've never been to Ephesus. I've never been outside of Istanbul in the country of Turkey. But I know what Ephesus is, and the reason I know what Ephesus is it's in the Bible, and I read my Bible. Let's see, I have to pull it up. It is in Acts 17. Acts chapter 17. Paul goes to, let's see, is it 17? Acts chapter 19. Corinth, Ephesus. Acts chapter 19. Paul goes to Ephesus. And in Ephesus, he encounters some of the priests and some of the men who run these temples, and they sell things at the temple of Artemis. And this man named Demetrius down here, he's a silversmith, and he made silver shrines for Diana. And he brought no small gain, made these guys a lot of money. And he basically starts a riot. And the people in Ephesus are screaming at Paul, "Great is Diana of the Ephesians." And this was at the temple of Artemis in Ephesus. So I knew exactly where it was because of this chapter here. You can read the whole chapter. I encourage you to go into your Bibles, read the whole book of Acts. Acts chapter 19 talked about Ephesus. That's how I knew about the temple at Artemis, the temple of Diana. So what we're seeing here is a shrine so far, an altar to Mary at the head of the church, a basically rebuilt temple of Diana on the right side of the entrance of the church. Maybe somebody can explain to me the sacred architecture. Well, maybe you got a Freemason to comment on here on why it would be on the far right side of the entrance of the church. As you walk through the whole building, you see over and over again a reverence to this Sophia, this Mary, this divine feminine. And here's another picture here. Actually, this is a video. Check this out. What these are is these are Christian mosaics. When the Muslims took over the building, they covered them all with plaster and with paint. And these have been hidden. Some of these mosaics are, I think all of these mosaics are 1,500 years old. They have been remarkably preserved because of the plaster that they put over them. They have men going in there now with like these radar penetrating devices. They can penetrate the walls, and they find the mosaics, they uncover them, and they present them as part of the museum's displays. This one right here, well, I'll go ahead and I'll let my tour guide once again explain to you what we're looking at.
City. You see he's holding the city walls. Yeah. Left hand side is Justinian, the builder of this church, Hagia Sofia. He's holding the model of the church. Okay. They are offering the church and the city to the Virgin Mary.
They're offering the city here and the church here to Sophia, to Mary, the divine feminine. Hang on a second. Stop. Come here. Come here. Hey, that's enough. Come here. Come here. You're a good dog. Now be quiet. So, I'm walking around in here taking the tour, and I am tripping out on all the references to the divine feminine. The Christians call her Mary, the Muslims call her Mary, but the ancient people called her Diana. They called her a lot of other things, and we're going to go through it here, and we're going to see that it's not just these references. I've got a bunch more, and we're going to try and calm the dog down and get her to stop barking, and I'm going to keep showing you references. It shouldn't take too long here. Where are we? So anyway, yeah, I'm walking through this place, and as you, I took a whole bunch of pictures. This is outside. This is a actual obelisk from Egypt. This is the Hippodrome. There's the serpent column. We'll get back to this here in a bit. So as I'm walking through and taking the tour with my tour guide, he's blowing my mind, especially with all the comments that he's making about how much he adores Mary and how Justinian and Constantine dedicated the city and the church to Mary, but they name it Hagia Sophia. They don't name it Hagia Mary. They name it Hagia Sophia. So I'm thinking to myself, Sophia means something, and I read this a long time ago. I couldn't remember what it meant, and I decided to come home back to Hawaii, sit down here at this computer, and I started to Google what I had seen. And I typed in Sophia into Google, and guess what I come up with? None other than the robot. So this is kind of to be expected. She's taking over, Google bombing everybody, but this is the artificially intelligent robot that was made a citizen by Saudi Arabia, oddly enough. She walks, talks, she puts on makeup, she gets her hair done. This is the closest thing we have to a cyborg, artificially intelligent robot walking around doing interviews. I mean, it's crazy. So Sophia, so the artificial intelligence, the AI, the Saudis, the rest of the world, their most advanced exhibit of this AI wisdom is been named Sophia. Sophia is wisdom. And so I'm starting to get closer to what I'm looking at here, and it starts to make sense. And if you think I'm crazy, here we go. So just now I had to kind of play around with the Google. I came up with a wiki on Sophia, and there's so many. Sophia, Koine Greek term. It means wisdom. This is a central idea in Hellenistic, say Greek, philosophy and religion. It is Gnosticism. Christian theology, I'm going to say they're using that term lightly. It's Gnosticism. This is a Gnostic belief. It is not only a Gnostic belief, it is the highest level of Gnostic belief. Sophia, the principle of this divine feminine wisdom, is the upper levels. It's the top of the food chain in Gnosticism. And this is a whole nother study, but here we go. The picture right here kind of is perfect. This is a statue of the personification of wisdom right here on the right. And what it is, it's Sophia in Koine Greek. And where is this statue located? No place else than the library in Ephesus. And there you can read underneath, if you understand your Koine Greek a little bit, Sophia. And this personification of the divine feminine here in Ephesus, of which they dismantled the columns and took them to Constantinople to build the Hagia Sophia, the place for Sophia. And who do they venerate in the place for Sophia? Mary. Anyway, not believing me yet? Let's continue. So Sophia, as we look a little bit deeper, you'll start to find references to Sophia being the serpent. And without getting too far into that and causing a whole bunch of things here, you can just again, this came right up. It's not hard to find. You can just start researching what Sophia means, and I thought that this was a pretty good reference. On Amazon, you can buy a Sophia serpent bracelet. This is the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. This is a symbol of eternity. It is a symbol of wisdom. And where does this come from? But no place other than Genesis, first chapter 1, 2, and 3. Actually, chapter 3, where the serpent offers Eve, again the female, nothing other than wisdom. Eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and life, and she will be like God, if you remember your Bible studies. So Sophia, the serpent, Sophia, wisdom, Sophia, the AI robot. Is there a queen of heaven? And who is this queen of heaven that provokes our Lord to anger? We're not done yet, about halfway. So I'm getting all this, and I don't really put it all together until I come home to Hawaii. Well, one of the things that I did notice as I was walking around Istanbul, and we were taking the subways, I wanted to get used to the city as a local would. I kept on seeing this symbol all over the city. And it's very prominent on the subway lines because the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality runs the subways. And I kept thinking that there is some sort of meaning behind it. It's not just a pretty symbol. And I couldn't put it together the first day. And the second day, as I was out, I saw it again, and it was the first night. I was on my way back to the hotel with a friend, my friend Scott, and we're in the subway, and it clicked. I said, I know what that symbol is. And he looked at me and he kind of chuckled. But Scott's a pretty cool guy. He's also somewhat enlightened, and he goes, "What is it?" And I said, "Well, I said there's 7 stars. That's the 7 hills. This is a city built on 7 hills." And he asked me what that meant, and I kind of explained it to him, which I'm going to save it for you here. But the funny thing was the second day, as I'm walking around, I realized as we're going through the bazaars, the Grand Bazaar, that everybody is selling these Hamsa hands, whether it's in a painting or in an amulet or a sign. It's all over the bazaar in Istanbul. And it is known as the Hamza in Buddhism, and it is also known as the Hand of Fatima in the Muslim beliefs. Jews also embrace this symbol, as so do many uninformed Christians, and the people believe it's a supreme power or find themselves at a crossroad in their life. It's a Fatima bracelet. Fatima is the granddaughter, I believe, of Muhammad, and Fatima, again, is a reference to the divine feminine, Sophia, Mary, so on and so forth. In fact, Mary is known as the Lady of Fatima, and that's a whole other story about a city in Portugal and 3 kids. But again, it's all connected. This is the divine feminine, and I'm starting to see all this like I've never seen it before anywhere in my whole life. I'm going to be 50 years old this year. The Istanbul Metro. It looks like a Hamza, but it's upside down. And as I scrolled through here, I realized that there's a meaning for it. And it says right here, as I scroll down a little bit farther, that which way should the Hamza hand be? If it's a hand facing up, which is what the Istanbul Metro looks like, a hand facing up, an up Hamza. There you go. That's it. That is exactly what we're looking at. It is a powerful sign of protection against evil. This is the protection against the evil eye, which Muslims believe in. I have another story about that. Ask me later. Jealousies and insecurities. And if it's facing up, it says the fingers are spread apart to ward off evil. Hand facing down means something else. But here you are, the Istanbul metro. It is a facing up Hamza to ward off evil for the city. And it shows that Istanbul has 7 hills on it, which we're going to get to here in a second. I found an ancient map of Istanbul, and you're probably wondering, what is this whole business about 7 hills? We're going to get to that. This is a great map. We walked all around this area over here. So basically the first and second hill of Istanbul. And this is the Hagia Sofia, the Basilica Cisterns, the Hippodrome, the wall of Byzantium is up here. This was the Topkapi Palace. This is where all of the sultans lived, and where the Ottoman Empire ruled for darn near close to 1,000 years. What is the thing? What is it about 7 hills? Well, so as I'm going through all of these references, it goes back to this divine feminine, this queen of heaven, that provokes God to anger. And I thought to myself, city on 7 hills. If you know your Bible, there is another reference to a city that sits on 7 hills. And according to the book of Revelation, it says this calls for a mind that has wisdom. Interesting choice of words there for John the Revelator. The 7 heads, he's talking about the beast. You got to read the whole book of Revelation. He's talking about the beast that you saw. The beast is also the Antichrist. He's going to come up out of the abyss and go to his destruction. Well, there's a woman that rides the beast, and this woman is a religious system. The woman is a mystery. They call her Mystery Babylon. And you can, again, this is not a whole study on the book of Revelation, but I'm pointing out here in chapter 17, verse 9, it says the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Wow. So when I came home from Istanbul, I read that and I got chills on both of my arms. And I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced that that's what that means. And the reason I'm not is because it also says here, and this really blew me away. Revelation 17:3, John says he sees a woman sitting on a beast that was covered with blasphemous names. And I thought about some of these pictures here that I took, and especially the pictures of Mary up on the ceiling here. And is not this a picture of a woman surrounded by blasphemous names? There's the name of Allah. These are the names of all of the sultans and the caliphs of Islam. The name of Muhammad. And there's Mary. And if that's not a woman surrounded by blasphemous names, I don't know what is. However, the one thing that's missing, she's not riding a beast in here unless there's something I'm missing. Book of Revelation says that the woman rides a beast. So, is it spiritual? Your guess is as good as mine. I like to have my mind changed. If you can change my mind, I get really excited. I love being challenged. But this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a woman surrounded by blasphemous names. And it kind of fits. Not 100%, but it's a really good fit. Anyway, moving on. Cities was built on 7 hills. Everyone says the city that was built on 7 hills that is referenced in Revelation chapter 17 is Rome. Everyone's going to say, okay, stop, Mike, stop. This is Rome. It's not Istanbul. Well, sorry. It doesn't say it's Rome. It says that it's a city that has 7 mountains. So there are lots of cities that have been built or that claim to be built on 7 hills. You have 4 in Africa. You have, looks like about 20 in the Americas, a bunch in Asia, which oddly enough includes Mecca. We can get to that here in just a second. Europe, and of course on the list of Europe is Istanbul, the 7 hills of Istanbul. And I showed you the map already. So that's my thesis right there. And it gets better. There's so much more. We're barely scratching the surface, but this is just, I'm trying to keep this video short. A couple more neat things here. In the middle of Istanbul, there's a serpent column. I took a picture of it. It is up here somewhere, and we'll just briefly talk about this. this is the old hippodrome, and right in the middle of it is this fantastic looking piece of bronze, which actually is a very boring looking piece of bronze. I walked past it twice, didn't even look at it, and then I read the sign, and I was amazed. This piece of bronze here is probably one of the oldest artifacts on Earth known to man. It's like about 3,000 years old. This was the serpent column, and this is what it looked like. It had 3 heads of serpents on it, and it came from the temple in Delphi. It came from the Delphi temple, the temple of Pythias, and it was this is where they had the Oracle of Delphi. The first time I had ever heard of the Oracle of Delphi was when I watched Clash of the Titans. I believe she was referenced in that movie. Again, it's the divine feminine. These were witches that would basically, it says it over here, they would smell these hydrocarbon vapors emitted from the chasm underneath the temple, and they would give people prophecies. And many Greek stories were written about them. Ancient Delphi, it was considered to be a place of worship for Gaia. There, once again, the mother goddess connected with fertility. And Gaia, another reference for the divine feminine. And there's a lot of other stuff in here as I was reading, which is escaping me at this point. But I mean, it goes on and on and on. Every single artifact in this, well, except for the phallic symbols. The phallic symbols are basically, the obelisks are basically phallic symbols. So there's the male and then there's the female. Pretty amazing stuff. Now, where's Jesus in all this? Well, he's in there, or they try to show him in there. And so if they're worshiping this divine feminine, which I think I've made a pretty good case, what do they think about Jesus? Is he, these Christians, these so-called Christians that put all this stuff up, what do they think about Jesus? Well, he's in there. Depictions of him in these mosaics. This is a pretty cool one that they've uncovered under the plaster, and it's Mary again. I think this is John the Revelator, the one who writes the book of Revelation, and then Jesus. But why is Jesus holding up a papal hand sign? Now, whenever you see hand signs, especially in paintings, these always mean something. This hand sign comes up over and over and over again throughout history. And if you just type in papal hand sign, you'll see it. It is what popes do when they greet you. It's supposedly a benediction or a blessing. And you can just type in papal hand sign to Google. And of course, they make other hand signs too, and 666 and all this other weird stuff. So papal hand signs, Y is a 1,500-year-old mosaic of Jesus holding up a papal hand sign. Jesus was not a pope. He would not use a occultic papal hand sign when he met people. I'm certain of that. You may have another opinion, but this is a clue as to what they think about Jesus. And I'm going to make my last point here. They worship the divine feminine. They think Jesus is below her. And here's my proof. This hand sign comes up over and over again. It is a as above, so below hand sign. I have seen this all my life. As again, I told you in the beginning of the video, my grandmother was a devout Roman Catholic. She always had a Sacred Heart painting in the house. And it was this Jesus, this Gnostic Jesus, holding his hand up and pointing to his heart. This is known as a Sacred Heart painting. So I'm very familiar with this hand sign. I've been seeing it all my life since I was a little kid. And as I got older, I started to realize this is the as above, so below symbolism. This is what the Satanists use on their Baphomet statues. The Freemasons made the statue of George Washington with the same hand sign, as above, so below. This was initially supposed to be in one of the memorials in Washington, D.C., but it was rejected because they thought it was too blatantly satanic. So it ended up, I believe it's in the basement of the Masonic Hall in DC. You can still see this. You have to put in some effort, though. It's out of the way. I think that Masonic Hall is open to the public. You can find this if you really want to. It's in Washington, DC. Crazy, isn't it? Back to my list here. There is another city on this list that's on 7 Hills. Again, like I said, I'm not convinced that it's Istanbul or Rome. There's another contender, Mecca, Saudi Arabia. And guess what they do in Mecca, Saudi Arabia? The divine feminine. They worship the black stone. Now, interestingly enough, if you go back to the reference in the book of Acts, chapter 19, these people that were freaking out in the temple of Ephesus, what were they worshiping in Ephesus? They worshiped the great goddess Diana and her image, which fell down from Jupiter, fell down from heaven. So it is agreed upon and accepted that at the temple of Ephesus was a black stone that was worshipped as Diana, the divine feminine, a meteorite, most likely, and we don't know where it went. Is it the black stone that is now in Mecca? It's possible. And here you go. This is how they worship it. It is, you can tell me what that looks like if you want to. I think I know what it looks like. And I think this is a pretty obvious portrayal of what's really going on here. The book of Revelation talks about the people that fornicate with this woman. If you go back to Revelation 13 through 17, it talks about the mystery Babylon and those who commit fornication with her. Is this not what they're talking about? We cannot only say it's the Muslims or the Saudis. The Catholics do it too. And what I find most disgusting is that Catholics and Muslims and Christians are fighting and killing each other and starting and pushing all these wars, yet they all worship Queen of Heaven, the same divine feminine, and they all reject Christ and they turn him into this. So that's my video. That's my my hypothesis. I'll show you a few more pictures here. Like I said, there's a lot better tourism videos that you can watch if you just want to see what the inside of the building looks like. If you ever take a trip anywhere in Europe or the Asia and you get a good deal on a flight on Turkish Airlines, I would say take it. Go inside the city for a day, take a day trip, go see the sights. It is amazing. This is the Hagia Sofia from outside. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world, an amazing building. It literally took my breath away. I did not know what I was looking at when I entered it. Something told me there was something going on here, and I came home. I did my studying, and this is what I came up with. The last video I'll show you, there is a museum in the Topkapi Palace where the sultans lived. And we walked to the museum, and I snuck out. We're not supposed to take videos. I took an illegal video because this was just something that I had to share. It's amazing. It is a giant sword. They say it's ceremonial. I'm going to let you look at this real quick. I was holding the camera down by my waist so I wouldn't get yelled at by the security guard. But check this out.
Right? But look at the size of that sword, huh?
And they say it's ceremonial, but there's big, huge nicks taken out of it. This thing looks like it's been used. It looks like it's hit some people.
This thing is huge. You gotta be like,
cut some spines. This thing.
You have to be like 10 feet tall.
Monstrous.
And this is my hand. Look at that. The thing is.
You can see back in the beginning how tall this girl is. She's probably a short girl too. I'm holding the camera down by my waist, so you can see my waist is probably right about here. This thing is a monster. Anyway, that's my video. I want to stop the screen share here, and we'll wrap things up. Thanks for watching. I don't know how long that was, but I had a good time making it. It took me like 10 tries to make it. Dog kept interrupting me. This is a beach house. This is where I live now. Come check it out if you're on Oahu. It's really cool. The beach is right out my door, and we have a great time. I can go in the water anytime, day or night. We got the stand-ups. We got paddles. We got the dog. Come by. Don't be a stranger. Nice to see you all again. Aloha. Take care.